Hey guys, tonight we're heading back to a place you've been before. A place of sun-baked mud brick and the gentle, rhythmic lap of water against a reed boat. We're going to ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, a land where life was, well, let's just say it was a lot. You're not a king or a high priest tonight. You're an ordinary farmer in the land of Sumer, a person whose entire world is measured by the rising sun, the overflowing rivers, and the endless work of the fields. You've tilled the soil, built the levees, and prayed to the gods for a good harvest. And now, as the sun dips below the horizon, casting long, bruised shadows across your modest home, you feel it. A coldness that has nothing to do with the evening air, an ache that no balm or potion can soothe, a subtle but unmistakable whisper from the universe that your time is drawing to a close. This is the moment you've been preparing for your entire life, the ultimate journey. You're not going to survive this one, not in the way you're used to. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. If you're listening in, let me know where you are and what time it is for you. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You lie on a simple reed mat, the rough fibers scratching slightly against your back, a familiar feeling that has defined your years. The air is thick with the scent of dried mud and cooking lentils. Your wife kneels beside you, her hand cool on your feverish brow. She doesn't cry, not yet. Crying is for after. Right now, there is only the solemn, methodical work of finality. A small clay lamp flickers in the corner, its weak light-making. The shadows dance like anxious spirits. You remember the time you told a slightly exaggerated story about a grumpy old man who tried to haggle with a demon at the city gate. Everyone laughed, but now the gate seems much closer and the demons a lot less funny. The fact is, in Mesopotamia, death wasn't an abstract concept. It was a constant companion, woven into the fabric of daily life through religious beliefs and the practicalities of a harsh environment. It was as much a part of the world as the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The fever burns in your veins, a hot river consuming the landscape of your body. You cough, a dry, rattling sound that seems to echo in the small room. Your eldest son, a man now with his own family, stands at the foot of your mat, his face a grim mask of duty and sorrow. You look at him and remember teaching him how to drive a plow, the feel of his small, uncertain hands on the wooden handles. So many things to teach, so little time left. This moment, this final vigil, is not just about you. It's about continuity. It's about ensuring the transition is smooth, both for your family and for your spirit. Historians still argue whether the Mesopotamian view of the afterlife was one of dread or just stoic acceptance. From where you're lying, it feels like a little bit of both, mixed with a healthy dose of tired resignation. You just want it to be over, but you also want to be sure you've done everything right. The whole process is a bit of a bureaucratic nightmare for the newly deceased. You've heard, and you thought tax season was bad. A curious tidbit you recall from your youth, the belief that a dying person's last breath contained their soul. The soul, or etemmu, was said to exit through the mouth. So, a dying person's family would often gather close, not just for comfort, but to ensure they were present for this pivotal moment. It was a tangible passing of the baton from the land of the living to the realm of the dead. Now you feel that breath catching in your throat, a butterfly trapped in a cage. You can feel the energy of your life force gathering, preparing for its final great escape. The faces of your family are a blur of concern and love, but also a certain practical focus. They know what comes next. They're already starting the rituals in their minds, preparing for the moments after the final breath escapes your lips. It's all a part of the grand cycle, the endless story of life and death along the great rivers. The final hours stretch out. Like the endless desert plains, the fire in your veins has lessened, replaced by a deep, bone-weary cold. Your wife, bless her, has brought a small clay bowl of water, holding it to your lips. The taste is cool and earthy, a small moment of familiar comfort in a world rapidly becoming strange and distant. Your eldest son has left to fetch the headman, a formal gesture that acknowledges the gravity of the situation. It's a way of saying, hey, this is official. We're not just having a bad day. It brings a certain dignity to the whole messy business of dying. Your younger children, still too small to fully grasp the finality of it all, are hushed and wide-eyed in the corner, clutching each other like little sand lizards seeking warmth. It's a bittersweet tableau, a scene you've watched unfold in other families many times before, never quite believing it would be your turn. You can almost hear your own mind trying to negotiate, to find a loophole in the cosmic contract. I'll work an extra season, I promise. Just 5 more years. I'll even stop complaining about the river levels. Alas, the universe is not accepting counter-offers at this stage. As the village headman enters, his presence is a calming, authoritative force. He says a few words of comfort, a familiar incantation that's been used for generations to help ease the transition. He speaks of the gods and the enduring legacy of a good life. He reminds your family of their duties to you, to your etemmu, your spirit, once you've departed. This gathering of your kin and community isn't just about emotional support. It's a vital, functional part of the process. Your loved ones are there to witness your passing, to ensure your spirit is released properly and that the appropriate rituals are performed. Think of it as a pre-burial committee meeting. They're making sure all the paperwork is in order for your trip to the great beyond. A crucial part of this is the tradition of holding on to your personal effects. Your family will keep your most treasured possessions, not out of sentimentality, but because they believe these items are an extension of you, a way of keeping your presence, your essence, tied to the family home. It's like a spiritual Wi-Fi extender for your ghost. The headman also mentions the importance of a proper burial. You've heard the stories, the chilling tales of those whose bodies were lost to the floodwaters or ravaged by scavengers. Their spirits, without a home to anchor to, are said to wander the earth forever, lonely and furious. The thought sends a shiver through you, a cold you feel to the core of your being. This mainstream historical fact, the immense importance of a ritually correct burial in Mesopotamian culture, is not just a belief. It's the very foundation of how they viewed the afterlife. A proper burial wasn't just a sign of respect. It was a cosmic necessity. The family's task now is to ensure your body is treated with reverence and prepared for its final rest. so your spirit doesn't get a bad review and become a grumpy, wandering ghost. Historians still argue whether these wandering spirits were viewed as truly malevolent or simply misunderstood and in need of help. From your perspective, they sound pretty malevolent. Your wife and children have moved closer again, now preparing the final offerings. They have small bowls of food, simple things like dates and barley cakes, to offer to the gods on your behalf. They're not for you to eat, obviously, but a way to curry favor with the cosmic bureaucracy. A quirky little tidbit you've always found kind of fascinating is the practice of placing a small piece of food or a clay jar of water at the head of the bed, not just for you, but for any stray spirits that might be passing by. It's an act of hospitality, a way to say, hey, we're not a threat, please don't mess with us or our dying relative. It's an ancient version of putting out a welcome mat. The final hours are quiet now, a stillness settling over the house. The world outside seems to have faded away, leaving only the soft glow of the lamp and the steady breathing of your loved ones. You close your eyes, feeling the warmth of their hands, and you let go. You feel a gentle tug, a sensation like being pulled through a cool, dense liquid. Your body, the one you've inhabited your whole life, is suddenly distant, a vessel you've just stepped out of. The world is a kaleidoscope of muffled sounds and shifting light. You can hear the wails of your family now, the ritualistic lament that marks your final exit. It's a sound that is both sorrowful and comforting, a sonic confirmation that they have fulfilled their duty to mark your passing, but you can't respond. You are a whisper now, a breath of air that holds the memory of a person. You are the etemmu, the ghost, the shade. The air around you, once filled with the familiar smells of home, now hums with a strange, low-frequency vibration. It is a presence you feel, not see, a gathering of shadowy figures just beyond the veil of perception. You know who they are. You have heard the stories whispered around campfires and in the quiet reverence of the temples. They are the Galla, the demons of the underworld. Their job is simple and terrifying, to drag the souls of the newly deceased down to the land of no return. These aren't just any demons. They're the cosmic enforcers, the bouncers for the afterlife's most exclusive and terrifying club. You recall a quirky tidbit about them, how they were often depicted with human torsos and leonine paws, wearing a sort of demon skirt. It's a fashion choice that seems a little impractical for dragging souls. But hey, you don't argue with the fashion police of the underworld. Their presence is a cold dread that coils in your new ethereal stomach. You are a soul, and you are prey. A mainstream historical fact you now grasp with a chilling clarity is how deeply the Mesopotamians believed in these demons and the constant threat they posed. The rituals and incantations performed by your family weren't just for show. They were a shield, a protective ward against these very beings. They believed the Galla were particularly fond of snatching the spirits of the sick and the dying before their time. This is why your family was so attentive, so meticulous with the final rites. They were essentially trying to keep a celestial Uber driver from getting to you before the official limousine showed up. It was a race against time and a whole host of toothy clawed demons. You can sense the Galla circling, their presence, a weight in the air. They are whispering, their voices like dry leaves scuttling across a stone floor. They are looking for a weakness, a ritual flaw, a forgotten word in a final prayer. They are testing the spiritual defenses your family has built around you. This is the ultimate test of their faith and your legacy. The strength of your memory, the love of your family, acts as a sort of ethereal armor. Historians still argue whether the elaborate and often terrifying imagery of the Galla was a literal belief or a metaphorical representation of the fear of death and the unknown. But from your current vantage point, you're not seeing metaphors. You're seeing a very real and present danger. This isn't some abstract fear. It's a very practical problem you have to deal with. And you haven't even had your post-mortem coffee yet. You hear a small, rhythmic drumming, a chant from your wife and children. It's a prayer to the gods, a plea for protection. Each beat is a reassurance, a tiny victory against the encroaching darkness. A small, almost cheeky thought flickers through your mind. Maybe if you had been a bigger jerk, the Galla wouldn't be so interested. But then you remember the stories. They don't care if you were nice. They just care if you're available. So you hold on to the sound of the chant, the last tether to the world you knew, and you wait, hoping your family's prayers are strong enough to send the demons packing. This is your first test in the great unknown, and you're relying entirely on a support team you can no longer see. The whispering shadows of the Galla have receded, pushed back by the fervent, rhythmic chanting of your loved ones. The sound is a lifeline, a fading but persistent connection to the world you just left behind. You can still sense the air around your body, the physical vessel that once housed you. You are a formless observer, a wisp of smoke hanging in the cool night air. The real work, the work of the living, is just beginning. You watch, a silent witness, as your family carries out the next crucial stage of your final journey. Your body is now a still, quiet thing, an empty shell. Your wife, aided by your eldest son, begins the solemn ritual of purification. A mainstream historical fact you now see with your own eyes is the meticulous care and sanctity with which the Mesopotamians treated the dead body. It was not just a corpse, it was the final sacred object, the thing that would be buried to provide a home for your spirit. They pour cool, clean water over your body, washing away the dust and sweat of a lifetime. It's a gentle, loving act, a final bath. It's a very different experience from those you've had before. No one is complaining about the water temperature or asking you to scrub your back. It's just quiet, respectful work. Next, they anoint your body with oils, fragrant with juniper and cedar. The scent, though you can't truly smell it anymore, is a memory you can access, a final sensory experience of the world. This anointing is a protective measure, a way of consecrating the body and making it ready for the next phase. Think of it as putting on your best outfit for a very important journey. Your wife carefully wraps your body in a simple linen shroud, binding it gently but firmly. The wrapping is a quiet, deliberate act. It's a cocoon, a final embrace, preparing you for the long sleep. It also serves a practical purpose, keeping you tidy for the gods. Historians still argue whether the Mesopotamians saw the act of wrapping the body as purely symbolic, or if they believed it had a physical effect on the spirit's journey. From your perspective, you're just grateful for the tidiness your family then prepares a final symbolic meal. This is a quirky little tidbit you always found interesting. They lay out a small clay dish with barley cakes, dates, and a jar of water next to your shrouded form. This isn't for you to eat. You don't have a stomach anymore. This is a final offering to the gods and a sort of spiritual snack for the journey. It's a bit of a last-minute road trip goodie bag, just in case you get peckish on your way to the land of no return. It's a way of saying, we're not just kicking you out the door. We care about your comfort. They also place some of your personal effects in with you, a favorite clay amulet, a simple bronze pin. These aren't just for sentimentality. They are meant to accompany you to the underworld, a little piece of the world you knew to take with you. You'll need these later, though you don't know why just yet. You're starting to realize this whole afterlife thing is full of weird rules you didn't read about in the owner's manual. Your family is not only preparing your body, they're also getting the grave ready. You can sense the work going on outside your home, the digging and the preparation. This is a final act of love and respect to ensure your body is given a proper resting place, a secure home, so your spirit doesn't become one of those angry, wandering ghosts you've always heard about. The quiet, dignified work of your family is a final, beautiful testament to your life. The shroud is a final hug, the anointing oil is a last caress, and the grave is a forever bed. You feel a final, gentle pull away from the body, leaving it to their care. The journey is about to begin in earnest. The familiar world of mud bricks and the smell of cooking oil is gone. You are now adrift, a ghostly current in a river of nothingness. The last thing you sense of your old life is the deep, earthy smell of your grave being dug, a final, anchoring memory. The sound of the chants and the quiet weeping of your family fades, becoming a distant hum, a faint echo from a world that is no longer yours. You feel a new presence, a new direction, a current, a force is pulling you downward, deeper and deeper, into the earth. This is the official start of your journey, the descent into what the Mesopotamians called the Kur, the land of no return. It's a pretty on-the-nose name, honestly. They weren't big on creative euphemisms for the afterlife. This isn't some glorious, gilded journey to paradise. A mainstream historical fact about the Mesopotamian afterlife is that it was not a reward for a virtuous life. It was a bleak, dusty, and monotonous existence for everyone, regardless of their status or deeds in life. Kings and commoners alike would become shades, eating dust and clay. It's not exactly the kind of place you'd want to go on vacation, much less spend eternity. The belief was that the afterlife was a mirror of life, but drained of all its color and vitality. Think of it as a black and white film of your life, but with a lot more dust. You can sense other spirits around you, a silent, swirling procession of the newly dead, all being pulled along the same path. No one speaks, no one interacts. You're all just passengers on a very slow, very depressing bus ride. You continue to descend. The darkness is absolute, not the comforting darkness of a moonless night, but a deep, heavy, suffocating blackness. You can feel the weight of the earth above you, layer upon layer of soil and rock. The journey is a long one, a slow trudge through a subterranean landscape. This is where you begin to encounter the true strangeness of this new reality. You can sense shapes in the darkness, things that are not quite solid, but are very much there. They are the souls of others who have gone before, the ancient dead, their forms barely perceptible. You pass through layers of mud and silt, the very substance of the earth you once tilled. It's an almost poetic irony. You were made of the earth, and now you are returning to it in the most literal way possible. A quirky little tidbit you've heard is that some believed a newly departed soul would follow the roots of the date palms downward as a sort of organic guide to the underworld. You can almost feel the phantom touch of a tree root brushing past you as you sink deeper. Historians still argue whether the physical journey to the underworld was meant to be a literal one, or a symbolic representation of the soul's final separation from the world. From your point of view, it feels pretty literal. You can feel the metaphorical weight of all your memories being left behind, the sounds and smells and sensations of your life fading into a distant echo. The journey is a process of unburdening, of shedding the things that made you, are becoming simpler, more elemental. You are becoming a shade, a ghost, an etemmu. The final act of leaving is not just a moment. It's a long, silent journey. And this is just the first step. You haven't even arrived at the front door yet. The air grows colder, a damp chill that seeps into your new, non-existent bones. The current pulling you downward grows stronger, the destination drawing closer. You can hear a sound now, not a whisper, but a distant, mournful murmur, like the sound of a great, slow river. The land of no return is waiting, and you are almost there. The journey downward has reached its inevitable end. You are no longer floating, but standing on a hard, cold floor. The darkness is still absolute, but you can feel a strange, humid air, a sense of vast space around you. You are in the antechamber of the underworld, the great waiting room for the dead. Before you, in the gloom, stands a massive gate, a solid, unforgiving slab of stone and dark wood, and there are 6 more behind it. This is the main historical fact you were taught to dread, the 7 gates of the underworld. You aren't alone. A long, silent line of other souls, a procession of newly departed, stretches out before you, all of you waiting to enter. There is no chatting, no complaining about the wait, just a grim silence. This isn't like the line at the city market. This is a lot less fun, and there are no tasty flatbreads to be had. The first gate looms, a truly imposing structure that seems to absorb all light and hope. A fearsome, muscular figure stands guard. This is one of the gatekeepers, a grim-faced official of the underworld bureaucracy. They don't look like they're in the mood for small talk. The guard's gaze sweeps over you and the other souls, a silent inspection. You remember the stories your grandmother used to tell you. This is the moment of truth. To pass through each of the 7 gates, you must shed an item. Not just any item, but something that represents a part of your former life. The first gate requires you to give up the very thing that covered your body, the simple shroud your family wrapped you in. You can feel it, a ghostly echo of the linen still around you. The gatekeeper extends a hand, not for a bribe, but for the offering. It's a symbolic act, a ritual unburdening. You have to let go of the last ties to your earthly body. It's like a cosmic security check. You must be this naked to ride this ride kind of deal. A quirky tidbit you recall is that in some versions of the mythology, the items were specifically tied to the journey of the goddess Inanna. She had to shed her crown, her jewelry, her clothes, everything that made her a powerful goddess to pass into the underworld. You, a simple farmer, are following the same grim path, just with less impressive accessories. You feel a psychic tug, a quiet voice within you urging you to hand over the shroud. You do, and the first gate swings open with a groan of stone on stone. As you pass through, you feel a new, unsettling sensation. You are colder, more exposed, and there before you is the second gate and the second gatekeeper. The process repeats, a relentless shedding of your former self. You give up the simple bronze pin your family placed in your shroud. The second gate opens. You move to the third, and you give up your clay amulet, the one you always wore for protection. The fourth gate requires the giving up of the memory of your home. The fifth, the memory of your children, and so on. It's a stripping away of everything you were. You're not just a ghost anymore. You're becoming an empty vessel. Historians still argue about the exact items one would have to shed at each gate, and whether these were ritualistic or based on an individual's life. But as you stand in line, you realize the specifics don't matter as much as the process itself. It's a methodical dismantling of your identity. By the time you reach the seventh gate, you have nothing left to give. You are just a shade, a blank slate, ready for your existence in the land of no return. The final gate opens with a silence that is more terrifying than any sound. You step through, leaving everything you ever were behind. You have passed through the last gate, a hollow echo where your identity used to be. The air is thick with dust and a chilling silence. The long line of silent, shuffling shades has dispersed, and you find yourself standing alone in a vast, dark chamber. This is it. You have arrived. But your journey isn't over yet. The final, and arguably most terrifying part of this process is about to begin. You must now face the Underworld's final tribunal. A mainstream historical fact you've always known is that every single soul, no matter their earthly status, had to stand before this court. There is no special treatment for kings or priests here. This is the great equalizer, where everyone is reduced to a simple shade, waiting for their final judgment before you. Seated on a throne carved from what looks like obsidian is the formidable queen of the underworld herself, Ereshkigal. Her name alone was enough to make your hair stand on end when you were a child. She is the opposite of her sister, the benevolent goddess Inanna. Ereshkigal is a force of nature, a goddess of justice and order, but also of unforgiving darkness. Her presence is a physical weight in the air, a crushing pressure that reminds you of your absolute insignificance. Beside her stand the gatekeepers, the same grim figures who took your identity piece by piece. They are her enforcers, her silent, watchful guards. They don't speak, but their presence is a clear message. There is no negotiation here. The queen's gaze falls upon you, a silent, all-seeing inspection. There are no questions, no accusations. Her judgment is not based on your deeds in life, not on whether you were a good person or a bad one. A quirky little tidbit is that unlike many other ancient religions, Mesopotamian mythology did not include a final judgment based on morality. You didn't get a reward for being good or a punishment for being bad. Your life was simply a prologue to this one final journey. This is a bit of a shock, as you had always hoped your kindness to the old woman down the road would count for something. Alas, it seems all the help you gave with her garden didn't earn you any cosmic credit points. The queen is simply looking to see if you are a legitimate etemmu, if you have followed the rules, and if your family has done their part. Historians still argue whether the concept of a moral afterlife was a later development in Mesopotamian thought, possibly influenced by other cultures. But for now, you just stand there, a blank canvas, a nobody in the face of absolute cosmic authority. The queen's gaze moves past you, and you feel a wave of something akin to relief. You have been found sufficient. You are now officially a resident of the underworld. You are not going to be tortured or tormented. You are not going to be sent to a beautiful garden. You are simply going to exist. You are a citizen of this new realm, and with that, the journey is truly over. You are lead away, not to a prison, but to a vast, dusty plain, a silent and unpeopled land. You are one of them now, one of the countless shades of the past, destined to spend eternity in the land of no return, a place where all things are forgotten and all lives are reduced to a single, dull, and eternal moment. This is your reward, your punishment, and your final home. You are a ghost, a whisper, and you are no longer alone. But you are more alone than you have ever been. The underworld is not a place of fire and brimstone. It is much worse. It is a land of endless, gray monotony. As you wander, you realize you are now an etemmu, a dust-eating shade. You don't have a body anymore, not in the way you did on Earth. You are a ghostly, silent presence, a mere memory of a person. The ground beneath your feet isn't solid earth, but a shifting, fine dust. It is the dust of the forgotten, the dust of all the lives that have come before yours. Every step you take raises a small, silent cloud. This is your new reality, your eternal landscape. You're a silent movie character in a world of endless reruns. The air is still, heavy, and thick with the scent of nothing. All the vibrant smells of the earth, the scent of fresh bread, of rain on dry soil, of your wife's hair, all of it is gone. A mainstream historical fact you now understand is that the Mesopotamian underworld was described as a place where the dead ate dust and drank murky water. This wasn't a punishment so much as a description of existence. Your existence is now one of a profound, gnawing emptiness. You are hungry, but you have no stomach to fill. You are thirsty, but you have no mouth to drink. Your consciousness, your very being, is now a state of constant, unfulfilled longing. A quirky little tidbit you recall is that some of the old stories suggested that the spirits of the dead were not entirely without senses. They could hear the wailing of the living, the funeral laments as a distant, fading echo. This sound, they said, was the one thing that could momentarily break the monotony of the underworld. You strain your ethereal ears, trying to catch a hint of your family's grief, a sign that they still remember you, but there is nothing, just the deafening silence of a place with no life. Historians still argue whether this depiction of the afterlife was meant to serve as a moral deterrent, a way to encourage people to live full and memorable lives on Earth. After all, if the afterlife is this dull, you might as well make the most of your time on the surface, right? From your perspective, it certainly seems to be working. You would give anything for one more moment of your old life, even the mundane parts. You'd happily fix that leaky roof or pull that stubborn weed from the garden. You miss the sting of the sun on your skin, the cool feel of the river on your feet. You miss everything. This is your punishment, not for being bad, but for being human. You are eternally tethered to the memory of a life you can no longer live, in a place that has nothing to offer but dust and silence. Your eternal existence is not about suffering, but about longing. And that, in a way, is a much more profound and quiet kind of pain. You are a ghost among ghosts, a shade in a world of shades. You trudge along, your spirit feet kicking up little puffs of dust. You are a whisper in a silent world, a memory in a land of the forgotten, and you wait. You wait for what you don't know. You just wait. As a silent shade in the dusty expanse of the underworld, you are plagued by a gnawing hunger and a profound thirst. You are in a state of eternal, unfulfilled longing. But there is hope, a lifeline that connects you to the world of the living. Back on the surface, your family hasn't forgotten you. A mainstream historical fact you now grasp with a clarity you never had in life is the central importance of the kispu ritual. This isn't just a simple funeral meal. It is a vital, monthly ceremony to feed your spirit, your family, your wife and children, and their children after them, gather in your old home. They've laid out a simple feast, fresh-baked barley cakes, cool water, and a few dates. This isn't a party. It's a solemn, sacred duty. They call your name. They speak of your life, of the time you fixed the broken plow, of the long nights you spent mending nets. These memories, these words of your family, are like a faint, distant bell ringing in your silent world. A small part of the food and drink is set aside for you, the spirit. They pour the water onto the ground, and as it soaks into the earth, you feel a faint, cool sensation. You feel the nourishment, not in a physical way, but in a way that soothes the eternal hunger of your spirit. You feel a little less empty, a little less alone. This is what you longed for, the connection to the world of the living. The kispu is your food. It's your family's way of saying, we remember you, we honor you, and we will keep you from being one of the hungry ghosts. This is a powerful, reciprocal relationship. You rely on them to feed you, and in return, you, the etemmu, are not a threat to them. You are a peaceful, remembered ancestor. It's a very practical, if not a little creepy, arrangement. Historians still argue about the frequency of the kispu, whether it was a monthly ritual or performed on an as-needed basis. But from your perspective, you're just grateful it happens at all. A quirky little tidbit about this is that the Mesopotamians believed the spirits of the dead were fed through the act of eating. The physical food and drink were not for the dead, but for the living. It was the act of communal dining, of remembering, that was the true food for the spirit. The ritual itself was a way of weaving the past into the present, of ensuring the lineage and the story continued. You, as an etemmu, are no longer a person, but you are a part of a story that is being retold and reenacted every month by your family. You can sense your family's conversation, their gentle laughter, their quiet sorrow. It's like hearing a favorite song from a very long distance. The sounds are muffled, distorted, but the feeling, the emotion, is clear. This is your only connection to the warmth of life. As the ceremony concludes and your family goes back to their lives, the feeling of nourishment fades. The hunger returns, but it's not as sharp. It's a quiet ache now, a familiar companion. You know you must wait another month, another cycle of the moon for the next kispu. You're a part of this endless, rhythmic cycle now. A silent, waiting, and eternally grateful ghost. The faint, soothing memory of the kispu meal has faded, leaving you once more in the profound emptiness of the underworld. You are one of the quiet, patient etemmus, but you can't help but feel a flicker of fear, a memory of a fate you narrowly avoided. Not all spirits are as lucky as you. Not all are honored and fed by their descendants. This is where the dark stories, the ones whispered by firelight, become your new reality. You have a profound understanding of a mainstream historical fact. A proper burial was the key to a peaceful afterlife. Without one, you become something else entirely. You recall the stories of those who died in a way that left their bodies lost or unburied, drowned in the swollen rivers, or left to be scavenged in the desert. Their spirits, anchorless and unfed, do not descend to the land of no return in the same way. They are trapped adrift between the two worlds, unable to find peace. They become the angry, hungry ghosts that the living feared most. These are the Galla, or wandering spirits. They are a different kind of ghost altogether, not the quiet, dusty shades you are. They are a cacophony of sorrow and rage, a constant presence that the living had to contend with. A quirky little tidbit you've always found morbidly fascinating is that these wandering spirits were said to be particularly attracted to the scent of the living, like a spiritual moth to a flame. They would try to steal the life force from the living, cause illness, and bring misfortune. Think of them as the worst kind of houseguest, the one who shows up uninvited, eats all your food, and then gives you a horrible curse. And you can't get rid of them with a simple get out. They are eternal nuisances. You feel a flicker of gratitude for your family's diligence. They gave you a proper burial, a physical home for your spirit, and they continue to feed you with the kispu. You, in turn, are a peaceful ancestor, a quiet part of their history. This is the social contract of the afterlife. You don't bother them, and they don't forget you. It's a pretty good deal, all things considered. Historians still argue whether the fear of these wandering spirits was the main motivator for the elaborate burial rituals, or if it was more about honoring the dead. From where you are, you're pretty sure it's a mix of both, with a heavy emphasis on the fear of becoming a hungry, angry ghost. Who wants that? You can sense the faint, ghostly wails of these unburied spirits, a distant, pained sound that makes the dust around you feel even colder. They are the cosmic forgotten, the souls who didn't get a proper send-off. They are trapped in an endless, futile search for a home they can never return to. Their rage is a palpable thing, a chill that seeps into the underworld from the land. Above, you, however, are safe. You are a citizen of this new realm. You may be eternally thirsty and hungry, but you are not alone, and you are not forgotten. You are a shade, but you have a home. And that, in this dusty, desolate world, is everything. The quiet, persistent hunger of the underworld is a constant companion, but it is a manageable emptiness, a familiar ache. You are one of the fortunate ones, a spirit with a home and a family that remembers you. You are not one of the angry, wandering ghosts, the Galla who haunt the world of the living. But that doesn't mean your family on the surface is immune to the terror of these unquiet spirits. In fact, their entire lives are punctuated by rituals and precautions to protect themselves from these very beings. you have a new appreciation for a mainstream historical fact: the widespread use of protective rituals and amulets in Mesopotamian culture. Back in your old home, your family is not just mourning you, they are also actively warding off other spirits. They have placed small clay amulets, shaped like the fearsome demon Pazuzu, over the doorways, believing his terrifying form would scare away any lesser, more malevolent spirits. This is the ancient equivalent of a beware of dog sign, only a lot more effective. They have also hung red bundles, tied with special knots, to ward off evil. You remember seeing these things all your life and thinking they were just there. Now you understand their true purpose. They were not just decorations. They were a fortress of belief, a spiritual shield protecting the home and its inhabitants. You also recall a quirky little tidbit about these rituals. The Mesopotamians believed that evil spirits were afraid of loud noises. So, on nights when the wind howled and the house creaked, your family would often bang on pots and pans, making a great clamor to chase the demons away. It was a chaotic, noisy ritual, and as a child, you always thought it was a bit silly. Now, from your silent, dust-filled world, the memory of that noise is a comforting sound, a memory of your family fighting for their peace and safety. It's a bit like a spiritual drum circle, just with more pots and pans. Historians still argue whether the elaborate rituals and vast pantheon of benevolent and malevolent spirits were a form of psychological comfort, a way for people to explain and control the unpredictable events of a harsh life, or a literal belief system. From your ethereal point of view, it all feels very, very real. The presence of the unquiet dead is a palpable coldness, a whisper of malice that you can feel seeping into the edges of the underworld. You can sense the fear your family feels, and you are grateful for the protective measures they have in place. You are a good etemmu, a quiet and respectful ancestor, but not all spirits are like you. The unburied and the forgotten are a constant threat to the world of the living. So your family continues their rituals, not out of a belief that you are a threat, but because they know that you are not the only one out there. You are a good ghost, a polite house guest, but there are a lot of rude ones who don't know when to leave. And your family is doing everything they can to ensure they don't get a late-night visit from them. You can sense their love, their fear, and their constant efforts to keep the boundaries of the living and the dead intact. It's a testament to the fragile but enduring power of belief and tradition. You are an etemmu, a quiet shade in the vast, dusty expanse of the underworld, waiting for the monthly kispu meal. But your purpose is not just to wait. You are now a part of the spiritual architecture of your family's life. You have a new role, a mainstream historical fact you now understand with perfect clarity is the role of ancestor veneration in Mesopotamian culture. You are no longer just a memory. You are a source of protection and wisdom for your descendants. Back on the surface, your family's relationship with you has shifted from one of sorrow to one of respect and reverence. They don't just feed your spirit with the kispu. They also seek your counsel on nights when a difficult decision must be made, whether to plant a certain crop or where to build a new levee. They go to your grave. They speak your name and ask for your guidance. They believe that your spirit, though trapped in the underworld, has a broader view, a deeper wisdom that comes from the silence of death. They pour libations on your grave, and whisper their hopes and fears into the earth, believing their words will travel down to you. You feel this. It's a faint, warm sensation, a connection that goes beyond the monthly meal. It's a feeling of purpose, a reminder that you are still a part of their world, even if you are no longer in it. You are a quiet observer, a silent guide. A quirky little tidbit you recall is that in some Mesopotamian city-states, the deceased were often buried under the floor of the family home. This wasn't just for convenience. It was to keep the ancestors close, to ensure their spirits remained a part of the household, a constant source of protection. It's the ultimate never really left feeling. You're always there, but you never complain about the rent. Historians still argue whether this ancestor worship was a form of true devotion or a more pragmatic, fear-based practice to keep the spirits happy. From your new perspective, you can feel that it is both. Your family loves you, they remember you, and they truly believe you can help them. But they also know that an unhappy ancestor is a dangerous ancestor. So they keep you fed, and they keep you involved, and you, in return, provide them with a sense of security and guidance. It's a beautifully intricate, symbiotic relationship. You listen to your great-grandson, a young boy you never met in life, as he speaks to your grave, asking for a blessing on his upcoming marriage. You can't speak back. You can't give him a clear answer, but you send him a flicker of warmth, a feeling of quiet encouragement, a ghostly thumbs up. You are the patriarch now, the silent, watchful guardian of your lineage. Your life on earth may be over, but your presence, your legacy, and your duties have not ended. You are an ancestor, a link in an unbroken chain that stretches back into the dust of time, and you will remain so as long as your family remembers to speak your name. You are an ancestor, a guardian, a quiet presence in the land of no return. You are a peaceful etemmu, one of the many shades who eat dust and wait patiently for the monthly sustenance of the kispu. But you also carry with you the full weight of Mesopotamian history, and that includes one of the most famous stories of all time, a tale you heard countless times in your youth. You find yourself thinking of Gilgamesh, the mighty king of Uruk, and his quest for eternal life, a mainstream historical fact you now grasp with the cold, hard logic of the underworld is the profound irony of his story. Gilgamesh, a demigod of immense strength and courage, was terrified of the very place you now inhabit. He saw the underworld not as a natural end, but as a cruel and pointless sentence. He watched his best friend, Enkidu, die and become a shade, and the horror of it spurred him on an epic journey to find immortality. He traveled to the ends of the earth. He crossed the great sea, and he even spoke to the one human who had survived the great flood, Utnapishtim. He endured trials, faced monsters, and came so close to his goal, even getting a plant that would make him young again. A plant that, as you remember the story, was stolen from him by a snake. He went through all of that, all that effort, all that struggle, only to fail. From your perspective, this whole quest seems a little pointless. You can't help but feel a little bit of a chuckle, a ghostly, silent laugh at the sheer futility of it all. All that work, all that effort, just to try and avoid what you now know to be the inevitable. This isn't a beautiful garden or a heavenly reward. This is a dusty, silent, eternal nothingness. Gilgamesh's great fear was not of death itself, but of a pointless eternity in a place like this. And he was right to be afraid. But his quest, for all its heroism, was doomed from the start. A quirky little tidbit you recall is that in some versions of the myth, after Gilgamesh's own death, he was said to become one of the judges of the underworld, a king in the land of the dead. It's a posthumous promotion he never asked for, but a fitting end for a man who spent his life obsessed with death. It's a bit like getting a job at the DMV after you've spent your life complaining about the lines. Historians still argue whether the Epic of Gilgamesh was meant as a moral story about the inevitability of death, a heroic epic, or a psychological tale about the fear of the unknown. From where you are, it seems pretty clear. It's a story about accepting the unchangeable, about finding meaning in the brief, beautiful, and utterly mortal time you have on earth. You, a simple farmer, lived a quiet life. You tilled the soil, raised a family, and lived and died without any epic quests. You did not fight monsters or sail across great seas, but in the end, you and Gilgamesh, the mighty king, have ended up in the same place. You both are shades, you both eat dust, and you both are utterly mortal. Your life may have been smaller, but your end is the same. The great king and the humble farmer, united in the great democracy of death. The story, in its own way, is a calming thought. No matter how great or small your life, the ending is always the same. And that, in a weird way, is a kind of peace. You are now fully accustomed to the rhythm of the underworld, if such a thing can be said. The silent weight, the periodic comfort of the kispu, and the profound emptiness are a part of your eternal existence. But as you reflect on your new reality, you realize how deeply the fear and beliefs about this place shaped the world you left behind. A mainstream historical fact you now see with a chilling clarity is how the Mesopotamian fear of the afterlife wasn't just a religious belief. It was a powerful cultural force that dictated many aspects of daily life. The knowledge that your afterlife would be a quiet, dusty nothingness was a powerful motivator. It made the brief, vibrant, and beautiful moments of your life on earth feel all the more precious. It made every harvest, every new child, every meal with your family a sacred and important event. The whole culture was built on the idea that this life, this one moment, was all you truly had. The Mesopotamian emphasis on building lasting legacies, monumental ziggurats, great canals, and legal codes was a direct response to this fear. They knew they would be forgotten in the underworld, so they sought to create a memory on Earth that would last forever. It's a bit like a cosmic game of tag, where you want to be tagged, remembered before you're called home. The fear of becoming an angry, wandering spirit, a Galla, was another powerful driver. This wasn't just a ghost story. It was a threat to the social order, the meticulous rituals, the ancestor veneration, the careful burial practices. All of it was designed to keep the boundaries between the living and the dead intact. The fear of these unquiet spirits shaped the way people interacted with their homes, their neighbors, and their gods. It was a constant low-level anxiety that influenced everything from how you built your house, making sure there was a proper place for a burial, to how you celebrated a new moon, making sure the right prayers were said to keep the spirits at bay. You also recall a quirky tidbit about this fear. The Mesopotamians were very particular about the way a person died. A peaceful, at-home death was a sign that the gods approved, and it meant a smoother transition to the underworld. Dying a violent or sudden death, however, was a source of great concern, as it was thought to make the spirit restless and prone to mischief. The whole culture, in a way, was structured around trying to have a good death, because the afterlife was not a good place. Historians still argue whether the elaborate and often terrifying stories of the underworld were a product of Mesopotamian thought, or if they were brought in from other cultures. But from your perspective, they were a central and undeniable part of life, a constant reminder of the stakes. You are a testament to all of this. You are a peaceful shade because your family did their part. You are remembered because they continue to speak your name. Your existence is a quiet, dusty reflection of all the traditions, fears, and hopes of the world you left behind. You are an embodiment of the culture you came from, and in a way that is a kind of purpose. Your life, and now your afterlife, serve to reinforce the very beliefs that made your world what it was. It's an endless, silent feedback loop, and you are right at the center of it. You are now at the very end of your journey, a quiet and patient etemmu in a world of dust. Your life, and now your afterlife, has been a testament to the traditions of the world you left behind. You have learned that your final reward, your ultimate destination, is not a heaven or a beautiful garden. It is here. It is this profound emptiness, this dusty stillness. But you have also learned that there is a different kind of immortality, one that Gilgamesh could never find in his grand quests, a mainstream historical fact that now feels like a warm ember in the cold silence, is the enduring power of memory. Your true immortality isn't in a magical plant or a demigod's strength. It's in the stories your family tells about you. It's in the memory of your quiet patience, your strong hands, and the little jokes you used to make. It's in the way your grandson remembers the sound of your laughter, or the way your great-granddaughter uses a technique you taught her to plant the barley seeds just so. Your immortality is not a life without end. It is a memory that has no end, a story that is passed down from one generation to the next. A quirky little tidbit you recall is that in ancient Mesopotamia, the practice of genealogy was incredibly important. People would meticulously trace their lineage, not just to prove their status, but to ensure that the stories of their ancestors would not be lost. They were, in essence, building a verbal and written monument to their dead, a monument that would outlast any physical structure. Your family's memory of you is the ziggurat you never built, the hymn you never wrote. It is a living. Mesopotamians saw this as a form of genuine immortality, or just a way of coping with the bleakness of the afterlife. But from your current vantage point, you feel a quiet, profound sense of peace. You are not just a dust-eating shade. You are a memory, a story, and a lesson. You are a part of a chain that stretches back into the distant past and forward into a future you will never see. And as long as your family tells your story, you are not truly forgotten. As long as they speak your name, you are not truly gone. You are a quiet, gentle whisper in their lives, a guiding hand from the silence. Your existence is a fading echo in a world of dust, but your legacy is a light that will continue to burn brightly in the hearts and minds of those you left behind. The final journey is not just a physical one. It is a journey into the memory of your descendants. And in that journey, you have found a peace that the mightiest kings could never hope to achieve. The story of your life, though it has ended, will continue to be told. And that, in this endless, silent world, is the only true immortality you will ever need. The dust settles around you, the air grows still and cool. Your journey is complete. You are a shade in the land of no return, but you are not forgotten. You are at peace. The final echo of your memory on earth is a soft whisper, a gentle closing of a very long story. The world you left behind is a beautiful dream you once had, and now you are a beautiful dream for others. The dust of the underworld is not a prison. It is a final, peaceful, and eternal home. It is time to rest.